Transmissions jammed. Proximity coverage only.
Hey guys, Jacob here. As you know, TU11 has dropped, and that's given us access to the new Game Mode Summit, also the new Season 3, the new gear sets, the new exotics, and much more. First, if you guys are new, welcome to the channel. I upload daily Division 2 content on stuff like build videos, vendor resets, name gear up and reviews, and overall news on the game. In today's video, I'm going to be covering the new Hunter's Fury gear set and how I've been running it, and I gotta say, I am a huge fan of this gear set. It's a lot of fun to use, it fits my playstyle, and overall, I just think it's awesome. And I will be talking about a few pros and cons you guys will have with this build, and a few things that you guys can also switch around as well if you want to change them to your playstyle. To get right into it, the two specializations I would recommend using are going to be the Firewall specialization and the Gunner specialization. For Firewall, the main reason is going to be the Striker Shield if you guys want to just try face-tanking enemies a little bit easier. That way you can get some bonus damage and sit there and just hit them over and over again with your SMG or shotgun. Also, there's the Firewall Tactical Link, which deals 10% damage to enemies that are within 10 meters of you. And this is allies, so if you're in a group of enemies just fighting like crazy and your teammates are next to you, they'll get the 10% damage bonus, which is really nice. For Gunner, the main thing you guys are going to look at are going to be the passive talent for the Armor on Kill, which is killing enemies grants 10% armor if you have it at level 3, which is going to be really awesome to use on this gear set. Then you have the Hardened Armor Kits, which is armor kits repair 100% armor and grants 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. And then you have Supply Line, which is generate 10% of total ammo capacity every 60 seconds. Party members recover 5%. And that's going to be it for the two specializations you guys might want to use. Now, to get right into the build, the gun I'm using is going to be the Dark Winter. This is the named Vector, and the talent on this is Perfect Killer. Killing an enemy within a critical hit grants 50% critical damage for 10 seconds. So if you guys are up at enemies' faces and you just rip through them and get a critical hit, then you'll get 50% critical damage for 10 seconds and can just tear through someone else and just rip right through them. The attachments I'm using on this are Critical Hit Chance Rugged Mini, the Tactical Short Grip, which is going to be 5%, which the reason why I say Tactical Short Grip is the fact you guys can use the Tactical Short Grip for 10% if you guys want to use that instead of the normal if you're using the Firewall. For the Flash Hider, this is the 5% critical hit damage version. If you need more crit, you can always use the Osprey 45 suppressor if you need a little bit more critical hit damage. Same goes for the scope if you guys want to change that as well. And also for the grip can go to the laser pointer. Now for the secondary, this is an SMG and shotgun gear set, but I've had it a few levels in Summit where I couldn't really get close to the enemies and I had to shoot them from a distance, and I'm using something like the Baker's Dozen or the Ravenous or the Eagle Bear, so just depends on what situation you're in and what gun you guys want to test out and use, but I'm currently using the Baker's Dozen, which has in-max tributes. The attachments I'm using on this are the Rugged Mini Critical Hit Chance, the Laser Pointer Critical Hit Chance, and the Tightly Packed Marksman Mag plus 5 rounds. For secondary, I am using the Card 45, which has Finisher on it, which is swapping from this weapon within 10 seconds of killing an enemy, grants 30% critical hit chance and 30% critical hit damage for 15 seconds. And if you're at max critical hit chance, then it's not really going to do much for you, but if you have low critical hit damage, then you'll get the extra 30%, which is really nice. So if you kill an enemy with this, then you switch to your Vector, you can just have a little bit more critical chance as well, and just shred something a little bit easier. But also, you're going to be using Perfect Killer, which gives you 50% critical hit damage instead of the Finisher. But if you need to use your pistol, if you get down to it and you don't have bullets, it's nice to have that talent. That way you can do a little bit more damage to enemies. And the attachments I'm using on this are the Low Reflex Cypher Headshot Damage, the Headshot Damage, the Critical Hit Chance Laser Pointer, and I'm using the plus 11 Extended Pistol Mag. Now for the gear set, this is the new Hunter's Fury gear set if you guys are not aware. The two-piece is shotgun damage and SMG damage, which is 15%, which is actually a lot. I'm kind of surprised they kept it that. I thought they might increase it or decrease it a little more, but they didn't, but that's really awesome. The three-piece is 20% armor on kill and 100% health on kill. So if you're using the 10% from Gunner, you're going to be getting 30% armor on kill. That way you can just run up to enemies and just shred through them and get your armor back. Then you have the four-piece, which is Apex Predator. Enemies within 15 meters receive a debuff and damage against them by 20%. Killing a debuff enemy with your weapon disorients other enemies with 5 meters and applies weapon damage by 5% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So when you're within enemies of 5 meters, then you'll be able to get the disorient effect, which you guys will be able to get even more weapon damage on top of it. The attributes are Critical Hit Chance, Critical Hit Damage Mod, and Weapon Damage. For the holster is Critical Hit Damage and Weapon Damage. For the knee pads, it is critical hit damage and weapon damage. And for the gloves, it's critical hit chance and weapon damage. And keep this in mind, these are the only pieces I've found so far. I have not gotten any god roll ones. So if you guys find any god roll ones, then good for you. I just cannot get any yet. Now for the chest piece and backpack, this is where I'm going to get into a few things you guys can change if you want to. I'm using Sokolov Concern for the vest, and I'm using the new Bellstone Armory for the backpack. And the reason why I'm using Sokolov is for the 10% SMG damage, so you're getting more SMG damage on top of the SMG damage you already have on the two-piece. And I have 15% weapon damage, 11% critical damage, 9.1 hazard protection, and 6% critical chance with Intimidate. While you have bonus armor, it amplifies total weapon damage by 35% to enemies within 10 meters. And since you're going to be in close quarter combat, this is really going to help you out. And I really think this might be the best talent for a chest piece on this build. You guys can obviously use something like Obliterate, or even you use Tardigrade, which I've seen a few people use, but I tend to still lean towards Intimidate because it's just 35% damage and using an SMG, and you're right in the enemy's face, and you're just face tanking them. Now for the backpack, you guys can obviously change this to something else if you don't want the 1% armor regen from Bellstone Armory, but I like having a little bit of armor regen, that way my armor is constantly coming back. So if you use this with armor on kill, you guys can get more if you want to flip the vest for this also. So if you want to change this to an Intimidate vest, which you guys can do so, you'll get even more armor on kill, which is another 10% on top of the armor kill you already have, and get even more. That way you can just face tank enemies and get your armor back. But I still like having a decent amount of damage on this build, and keep this in mind, these are all reds, so you can obviously change them if you want more armor, if you'd rather just not go the red route. Now, Adrenaline Rush, whenever you're within 10 meters of an enemy, gain 20% bonus armor for 5 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. So when you're face tanking someone, and say an enemy runs up to your left, there's one in front of you, you'll get even more bonus armor because it stacks up to 3 times, and the cooldown is 5 seconds. And I have Armor Regen, Explosive Resistance, 135k armor with 12% critical hit damage mod. Now, like I said, you can change these pieces to your guys' liking. Now for these skills, I'm using the Crusader Ballistic Shield. If you're using the Firewall, you guys can use the Striker Shield, which is way better. But at the moment, I'm using Gunner, so I'm using the Tier 1. If you guys are going solo, you also might want to use something like the Reviver Hive if you guys do not have a healer. And if you do have a healer, you could switch out to something like the Pulse, which I've been doing to get rid of the drone levels and Summit, and also just for farming stuff like the Black Tusk missions if you guys want to get rid of the dogs if they're being a pain in your ass. And also you can get rid of enemies in the higher levels, like up in the 80s or 90s, that are giving you a bit of a problem. Now, if you guys want to use any skill you want, you can. Those are just the ones I'm currently using at the moment. So if you want to use something like the Trap, the Decoy, or even the Sticky Bomb, you guys can do so. Just depends on your playstyle. Now, to get right into the stats, I will show you guys the critical chance of critical hit damage. I have 53% critical hit chance and 123% critical hit damage, 50% headshot damage, which I think is bugged because I only have 1 headshot damage on Keener's watch, so I'm not sure what's up with that. For the reload speed, it's negative 2.6. For stability, it's 9.6. All weapon damage bonus is 71.9. Submachine gun bonus is 39.5%. Then you have the talents, Adrenaline Rush, Intimidate, and here's the gear sets and brand sets. The armor on kill, armor regeneration, the max health, and health on kill is 306,619, and health regeneration 1,533. And here's the hazard and bleed resistance. And I'll show you guys the skills as well if you want to see the active duration, the holstered, and all this stuff like that, and the cooldown. And here is the hive for the cooldown. This is just your basic Reviver Hive, nothing special. And now I will talk about the cons about this build. And for one, like I said in the video at the beginning, I love this. I think this gear set is probably my favorite gear set in the game. I don't really use gear sets. The fact that I like them that much, I miss the ones from Division 1. But I'm still happy to add them to the game, and I use them once in a while. Before this gear set, Eclipse was the main gear set I went to. And before that, it was Hard. But you guys will see here I'm face taking this enemy, and you can just rip through enemies like crazy. But also, if you miss and someone else kills your enemy, you're not going to get that armor on kill. So you get up there and kill those guys. That way you can get your armor on kill just like that, and you'll be good to sit there and just go close quarters and rip through them like crazy. Now, another thing I want to build is it's a shotgun and SMG build. It's not a rifle and assault rifle build. So you're going to have to be pretty close to enemies unless you want to try shooting them from a distance, which is going to be a little bit difficult for an SMG. So just be careful when you're using this build and make sure you don't get overwhelmed by enemies and they can just shred through you like crazy. You do have that armor on kill, which can save your ass a lot. It saved me multiple times, and it's only it's not like a 50%, it's not like a max armor on kill build, but it's still 30% if you're using gunner. And if you're sitting there just hitting enemies over and over and over again, and you're almost dead, then that can proc, and that might give you a little bit of armor to get away and get in cover, so you do not die. But just keep that in mind. You can get overrun with this build and get destroyed if you're not careful, and you can always flip these pieces of your guys' liking in your playstyle. But thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more Division 2 content.
So you're gonna have to ask yourself, is this a fight you think you can win?